You're spending 300 bucks a day on the same thing. And you're like, it's not working. It's not working. Well, when you run ads to DM, what do? You're like, oh, it's just an automated question. It's like, click this, click this, click this. There's no one talking to them.
Poor quality for me.
Bro, you still would have gotten more data and more leads than paying him.
My name is Grant Elliott. I'm originally from Central Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. Now I'm living in Tampa, Florida as of about 3-4 years ago. Best move of my life. What am I about? I'm about helping people fix back pain and living a healthy lifestyle and being able to actually live an optimal life. You know, as all entrepreneurs know, you don't know what you don't know, and limiting beliefs, you don't really know what's possible until someone else tells you that it is, or until someone else proves it to you. So just being able to kind of be opened up even more, like my possibilities and avenues and ways that I can grow and get to ultimate goals. And then of course, specifics of what I should change.
Okay, so you have a chiropractic clinic, I'm assuming, right?
All online.
It's all online. Okay, very interesting.
Think of it as online physical therapy.
And what are you doing now? What are you trying to get to? How do you get leads? Like, walk me through some of the logistics.
So I didn't start doing online work until January of 2020.
Okay.
My very first year, I did 460,000.
Wow, that's great, dude. Jeez, that's a lot.
I did 580 my second year.
Okay.
Third year, 1.4.
Nice, jeez. Okay.
And this year I'm at 1.8.
Wow, dude, that's amazing. That is very surprising to me, in a good way. That's great. All right, and then I'm assuming, what do you want to get to this year?
Last year I was thinking, I want to do 3 million, and in 2023, there's no way that's happening.
Okay.
I mean, my goal is 10. My goal is 10.
Okay, so you want to get to 10. Okay, so how do you currently get clients? How do they find you?
99.9% of my revenue is all organic.
Wow. So like social media?
Yes.
Okay, so do you have,
Instagram primarily. Instagram's number one.
what's your social following?
I have 523.
Okay, so you got a big social following. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good, man.
TikTok 550K.
Okay. So
sorry. Are you asking me like the different channels here?
No, I mean, sure, yeah. What else?
Facebook 650K.
Okay. Is that like personal or page?
Personal.
Okay.
Page has like 24K.
Okay.
YouTube, I just started growing YouTube this year. We're already to 40K.
Okay, and then like, what's the offer? So I understand the price point, what do I get, etc.
Yeah, we jump back and forth between 3 months for 4.5 or 6 months for 6. So our coach is another chiropractic physician, right?
Okay.
That's the account manager, if you will.
Yep.
All of the communication is through an app. We provide unlimited communication Monday through Friday.
Okay.
They have a daily plan. It's like the exact exercises, the exact number, the exact time. We change it every week. We adjust it based on the results.
Okay, so it's literally all low back pain, and then like is the average client like? What are they like? Older guy, middle-aged guy? What is it?
Yeah, average client is probably more so 30 to 45.
Okay.
Male.
Males? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get any females or it's mostly guys?
Yeah, we do, but it's just majority
Pretty much guys. Okay, so 30 to 45 males. Your pitch, I'm assuming, is like, how do you sell them? You sell them chat or phone?
We do all Zoom.
Zoom calls?
Yeah,
Okay.
all lead generation over social.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Start chatting, or maybe they click a link to go through the VSL, right?
Yep.
First discovery call, 20 minutes, that's free. And then we actually charge for our close calls. And the reason why is because we provide so much stinking value on the close call, man. We actually take people through like a physician level assessment. We actually give them exercises during the call, and most people get on average 30 to 40% reduction in their pain during the first call.
Okay.
So we charge them $97 for the assessment call. Sorry, I know you were waiting on that.
No, you're good.
So a 97 1-hour call where we actually deliver big ton value. And then at the end of that, since we've built a ton of value, then we drop price.
Okay, and then have you ever done doing a free call versus that?
I tested that for like 2 weeks, and the show rate just plummeted, and it was just hard to control things.
Okay, and then who takes the calls, you or?
No, so I don't take any assessment calls anymore. I was still in our sales process up until June.
Okay.
In June, we did 250K. And then when I got off the sales calls, it went down to 150K.
Yeah.
I have 2 closers and 2 setters.
Okay, so 2 closers, 2 setters, 1 coach.
Correct.
Okay, setters, 1 coach. What do you pay? What does everyone make? Just so I can kind of see numbers. Are these 10%?
So originally, yeah, closers 10%. Sorry.
No, you're good. And then what's the setter?
Yeah, like 5 to 6K.
That's a lot, man. Okay, 5 to 6K. Full time?
Yes.
It's not a lot, I guess. I mean, it's a good amount though. And then how do they get paid? Is it hourly or salary? Or
So because we charge for the assessment call, right? They get a cut of every assessment call they book. It used to be just percentage on cash
and they
collected.
sell the assessment through Messenger, right?
Through Zoom.
Okay, and then they get what, 10% of that?
Different structures. One individual gets close to 50%, another individual gets close to 80%, but they're for limited times because one guy gets a ton of lead flow, one guy doesn't.
Okay.
So
why does one guy get more lead flow if they're all organic?
Because one of my setters gets everything from Facebook. Facebook traffic's just lower, but it's like a lot more to manage for us. The other one gets everything from Instagram, way warmer leads, way better show rate, and just so many more. So we give him less per assessment to still make about the same potential as the guy.
So they make all their money from the assessments?
At this point, yes. All their money from the assessment.
So it's all commission. That's not bad then. Okay, so that's a pretty safe business model. I'm not against that. Okay, and then how much does the coach make?
I pay him $92.50 per month.
Damn, dude. Okay, so that's a lot. Is that just more because he's like experienced, or is it like
he's super good?
Okay.
Our results are just untouchable in the back pain world. We're just untouchable.
Okay.
And he's worth that.
Okay. If you went out and you had to get another coach, do you think this
I would
is
not.
the base?
No, I would not pay them that.
Okay. So what would a base be typically?
I think another skilled doc who would be able to deliver what we need to, they'd probably be happy with 7 to 8K.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's not terrible. Okay. So yeah, long story short, let's just say you did 1.8 this year. You got about 180,000. And then you got, let's say 5 to 6K a month. So let's just say each, right? So it's like 12. So say like another 150. And then this guy's gonna take up about, what's 12 times 9? 100, like what, 108 or something?
Yeah, it's like 108.
Okay, so say 108. Okay, so I mean, it's about what, 350K-ish? It's like somewhere in that range. So then you're taking home quite a bit of profit. So like if you do 1.8 this year, you're gonna take home like 1.4, 1.
Yeah, I mean, my take home's like 75%.
Have you done any coaching or programs? Like what's your experience on that? Have you done stuff?
Yeah, so the first like biggest program I did was
Okay.
I jumped in on yeah,
Okay.
which I believe they sold me really prematurely actually. Okay. But I still learned a lot through it, but I think I got in there very premature.
Yeah.
He helped me figure out how to create like DM campaigns and selling more through that, creating automations through Go High Level. That was super helpful.
Okay.
Those are really just the main coaching things that I've done.
Okay.
I worked with other agencies, like ad agencies, but those are actual like business coaching.
And then what, in your opinion, is like your biggest struggle right now? Is it just like getting to this number, or?
Man, I've been trying to get ads down for the last couple years. It's just super tough, man. I have yet to figure out like a good ad system. I've put quite a bit into that without much success.
Okay.
But then additionally, I'm certain there's many holes in our processes that if they were filled, we'd be able to capture more of what we're getting. And then I guess one more thing, I've been trying to become a much better sales manager because my closers need to be closing at a better rate. We're around like 20%.
Yeah, it's trash.
We need to be better than that.
Especially if they're paying 97, that's way more qualified.
Yeah,
so
super
they should be closing
qualified,
higher.
exactly.
Is there flexibility on this? So let's say I get on a call, dude, I really want to do this, but I just can't afford it. Like I literally only have $2,000. Do you give them flexibility to move
50-50, 3 pay, higher up front, do smaller payments.
But not even that. Do you give them flexibility to move the price? So let's say like you're usually selling 6K.
Yeah.
If the guy was like, dude, like I literally can't do that. And he's like, well, what's your cash on hand? The guy's like, dude, like the most I could do is like $3,000 total. Would you allow them to take it or no? Does that make sense?
$3,000 for the total
yeah,
program?
Like I'm just, yeah, so like, because so
no, we would just reduce the program.
Okay, so there's no flexibility in terms of lowering it. So it's like,
I mean, if we're pitching them a 6K program and they can only afford 3, we're not giving them 6 months.
Right,
we're bumping them up
Got
to
it.
3 months and then hopefully collecting 50.
Got it. So there's nothing where if you reduce the price, you reduce the program. There's nothing where it's like it stays the same, but you're helping them because they're in a financial situation. Is that accurate?
Rarely ever.
Okay.
Rarely
okay,
ever
cool.
done anything like that.
Okay. Your setters will go through the DMs. They set up a call and then they close on the call. And then I don't know what stats you have or don't have. Did you ever have stats for, okay, when we just do, DM to a free call versus DM to a sales call? And what I mean by that is like, I know you're talking about the close rate. I know you're talking about the show rate,
yeah.
But it's also like let's say you had here, it's like, yeah, less people show, but you book more calls. There's stats there that's like, yeah, I get what you're saying here. You're like, yeah, I got a better show rate. It's like, well, yeah, you should. But it's also, if someone does a free call and you book, double the volume or triple the volume, it's like, it doesn't matter if less people show because you have more calls overall. Do you get what I'm saying? So have you looked at that or?
So there was another agency I was working with where we were trying to book straight from an ad to a sales call or straight from our DMs to a sales call. And, of course, once again, if it's free, show rate would going down, they'd be like, oh, wow, I thought this was good. I expected $100 for this, right? And quality was just crap.
Did you ever run it to a setter call? So like, let's say you ran an ad to this call.
So that's all we try to do now is just try to get them qualified through a setter first.
Okay, so walk me through this. What have you done for ads? Like walk me through like different funnels or processes.
Okay, so obviously this is, same thing goes for multiple platforms, right? But obviously a creative and then through a VSL to an application to book a call.
Okay, so it's ad and then they click the ad. Do they go to an opt-in form or no?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so opt-in, I'm just making sure it's all good. No, you're good. That's it, because if I don't get this right, it's gonna be tough. And then it's a call, right?
Yep.
Okay. Typically when you run the ad, what's your lead cost, do you know?
The metrics that I'm used to looking at are like when we do DM campaigns, it says like cost per message.
Okay, that's fine. That works. Yeah, tell me that.
Good is like $6 to $7.
Okay, so that's very cheap. Okay, and then so that actually goes over here, $6 to $7. How much does it cost you to get a call typically?
With the good metrics that we've gone, around like $50 to $60 per call.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, and then how many of those people? So like if you had 100 book calls. No shows, cancels, everything counts. Out of how many calls do you guys close? Do you have those numbers or do you know?
Close meaning how many pay for the 97 assessment?
That's a good point. Let's back that up even more. So if you're booking these calls for that, so let's do how many of those? So you got 2 calls. So let's do this. 50 to 60 for the set call. So how many, if you had like 100 people do this, how many people make it to this call?
If they're warm leads, we're always converting around 50% of people from the free set call who would then pay 97 to then do the closed call.
Okay, so we'll do 50%. We'll do 50% warm, and then how many if cold? Like if you were doing ads, how many people?
Yeah, probably more like 30 to 40.
Okay, so we'll say 30. And then how many of these people do you guys close? So you had 100, let's say you had 100 of these, how many actually close warm, how many close cold?
Yeah, so just put 20% for the time being because that's the lower end, but we're
for both?
around that.
About both?
Yeah, about both.
That's 20% sucks. Okay, so we'll just do this. We'll do 100 leads. So then usually you get about 10 calls and then you're saying that you get about 50%. Yeah, so 10, 5, it's about 20. So, I mean, that's not bad though. Okay, so we got 20% from here to here. How many from here? Do you know how many, so out of the people who book the set calls, how many do you close? So like meaning if you had 100 set calls, out of the 100 set calls, how many close total? I know from here, you're saying about 50% or 20% of the warm, but like how is it all the way from set calls? So if you had 100 set calls, some people won't book here. So you have 50, that's already below that.
Well, yeah, if there's 100 people who do that, 50 of them will pay for the assessment. So if we have 50 who do that, then 10 will close. So 10% of...
So that's not bad. That's not bad because basically like if you can close 10% of your total applications, I do think that number should be higher, but it's not bad. I mean, it's like, because typically it's about 10% across the board. So it's like if you get 100 leads, 10% book a call, and then you close 10%, that's about where you're at. That's not horrible. This number is a little concerning, so I do think this should be somewhat higher, but that's not horrible. But again, it's also like you're pretty much doing it from organic and you're not doing it from paid. So I guess my question is like, when you're doing it from paid, like what's the issue? Because like it still looks like
nobody shows up to the set call, man. And I've worked with 3 different agencies this year. We were doing it through TikTok. We did huge confidence with me, and they're being very accommodating, but that crashed and burned. And then I worked with another Facebook group, crash and burn. Every time we've tried to run ads, the show rate to the discovery call is like 8 to 9%.
Seriously?
Yeah. So this exact process you have right here, right? In our current organic process, like if we're just DMing someone, or I make a post and I say, hey, direct message me the word pain, and I'll send you, a free guide, whatever, from my organic warm traffic. Our show rate is around 70% for discovery calls. 50% convert, 20% close, right? But for every ad agency I've worked with so far, the show rate for that discovery call goes from 70% to like 8, 9.
So, I mean, it's very simple how the business is going to grow. I mean, in a couple ways, we'll go through stuff, but margins are good. I don't have a problem with this. The more closers you have, the more there is to manage. And it's also, you might not get as good of a closer. So for example, like if you're doing 1.8 million this year.
I'm 1.8 now. I'll do 2.
Okay, 2. So 2. So like if you had that's really, to me, it's like, you could have a full-time closer only and just cut the other guy. Cause like if you're splitting 2 million, that's only 200,000 between 2 guys. It's like you could get a better closer who would just take 200,000 himself, technically.
Yeah, so the number of closed calls we're at per week is usually low to mid 40s. We're going into each week typically with 50 to 60 total calls booked, and then there's cancellations and some reschedules, right? So of the live closed calls that actually happen, we're like 42 to 45 per week.
Why not just have one guy? Why not just have one guy?
Isn't that a ton for one guy?
I mean, dude, we have guys that'll have 8 calls on their calendar per day, but they'll only end up taking typically, like 6.
Well, but these are live calls because they're paid. Everybody's showing up.
So how many live calls was it? You said?
So we're about 42 to 45 per week. So for one person, like those are actually happening.
24.
That's
18, 20, 13, 40. I mean, the only thing I'm looking at is it's just more to manage, right? Because then technically part of your job, and the hard thing about this is as like you get closer to this number, there's more to manage, and you're gonna be spending your whole time training your team, right? So that's just something to consider. My guys, typically it's 5 days on, and then they work at least 2 Saturdays a month. They're off Sundays. So we get guys who like, they're willing to work pretty good hours, and we can load them up in a day, like 8 to 10 calls a day. We load them up, and it's just easier because the more they're paid, the better guys you can get too. So it's easy to go to someone and say, hey, you're gonna work a lot, but you're gonna make 20, 30 G's versus, hey, you're gonna work a lot, you're gonna make 10. That's just something for you to consider because typically the caliber will be lower, and so they're gonna miss more calls, there's gonna be more to manage. That's just something to look at. You're basically here, there's only 2 ways you can scale. It's either this keeps going up, which I don't know where your growth is, but like that has to keep going up and up and up and up and up, and the more it goes up, then the more this you get. Or B, you're gonna have to get ads to work, which was kind of like what you alluded to. The other thing is like, after they do this, do you have like recurring revenue or back-end programs?
Yep, so for someone who, let's say, has had amazing results within 3 months, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like 80% better, this is incredible, then we'll charge an extra $2K for another 3 months. And we get that, so
it's like a little bit of a lower price.
Yeah, lower price. Hey, let's do another 3 months, like 50% the cost, right? Like that's enough to push people going. Okay. And then I do have an online personal trainer, so more in your realm, right? I have an online personal trainer that if people are like, hey, I feel like I can go to the gym now. Sweet, work with our trainer. Okay. That's really low cost, and like small maintenance stuff from there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like maybe have like the fitness program as a back end. I don't think you have to. It just depends how much effort you want to put into it, but I mean, you could sell, like my fitness trainers will sell $3,200 programs, $4,000 programs for 3 to 4 months. So I think you could get a high ticket for that. But like the only way I see this scaling is you're gonna have to run an ad to the DM, and then the DM will have to go to a call if you want to get to 10 million. The problem is like the DM, even if you do a DM to a set call, you're just doubling everything. You're doubling that, you're doubling the amount of, you're gonna have to have, like double the setters, double the closers. It's just gonna be a kind of a bit of a show. From what I'm taking, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, when these people clicked on the DM ad in the past, what happens from there? They just get an automated link and that's it?
The successful DM campaigns that we've ran through Instagram, blah, 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 send me the keyword.
Yeah.
They send the keyword, hey, you're dealing with this, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, click this link, book a call.
Yeah, so it's automatic. Yeah, that's why. Okay, so yeah, I know what you need to do. So here's what my team does, and so you understand. So the reason, what you're doing doesn't work, in my opinion. Okay, so the first thing is like add to an opt-in page. It doesn't really work that often. Most of the guys you see being successful, they do get it to work, but it's very hard to do because there's no context, there's no conversation, right? So like if I meet someone on the street, and then that's a lot easier for me to get them to buy because I can answer all their questions, etc. When you're just doing like add to opt in to VSL, etc., there's probably stuff that's not being answered that you're not aware of, right? They see the opt-in page like, yeah, okay, and then they get to VSL, like, yeah, whatever, and they fall off. And then even if they do book a call, they still haven't talked to anyone, so their commitment's really low, and they see it on their calendar, and they're like, yeah, but I'm busy. So like, just so you understand how my business works, for the last 6 years, we do ad to DM where we have an actual human being go in here and qualify them, and then they'll get a VSL where they can book a call, or the setter can push them to a call. So what happens is before they ever get to our call, we've already qualified them by talking to them, and we send them an application to book a call, right? What it sounds like you do is you do an ad to a DM, which is just automated. It sends them through a bunch of automated bullshit, and then it sends them here. And then from here, they just book a call with the setter where there's no application, right?
Correct. There's no application to
Right. So that's your issue. So if this is harder to scale, which is why most agencies won't do it, because it's not worth the agency's time for what you're gonna pay them. Like if my team had to do this for you, we'd have to charge you probably, to run your ads and do this, we'd probably have to charge you like $25,000 a month or something. Think of it this way. Pretend these two setters went inside your business and DM'd every lead that came through the ad. Do you think you'd book more calls? I bet you your ass you'd book more calls. But that's gonna take more work. And then here on your VSL, you need an application to go straight to a sales call. You're trying to automate everything because that's what ad agencies try to tell you works. Dude, I don't think I'd be as successful as I was if we hadn't done that. So just so you know, if you ever wanna test it, go click on one of my ads, okay? You're gonna get messaged by me or somebody else every time. Someone's gonna talk to you and it's gonna be a live human. So then what happens is, hey, what's your goal? What are you showing? We start having this interaction and we start seeing what your objections are and your beliefs, and we can beat those right then. And then we're gonna send you to an application. So either what'll happen is either you'll get booked by the setter or you'll click the link, because let me back up, I don't wanna confuse you. Click the ad, first message is like, hey, what's up? Here's a link to the VSL. So you'll either click that link and go to the VSL, or you're gonna talk to the setter. The setters go in there no matter what, okay? So then from the VSL, you're gonna click an application for the sales call, or the setter will book you to an application. Well, guess what happens on the application? If you give us the answers, it goes back to
the setter call?
No, it goes back to the setter to qualify you, like this. So the setter goes, hey, I saw in the application, you said you're broke. What's up with that? And then if you don't give us good answers, we cancel the call right then. What you're doing is you're just letting everyone through and you're like, yeah, I don't know why no one shows up. It's like you're doing zero qualification. You have to qualify people.
Sure.
So the setter will then qualify. So then what happens is after here, when we have the actual sales call, think about it. They click the ad, they talk to the setter, they watch the VSL, the setter had them fill out an application and they qualified based on the application. So when they get to the call, the sales rep's like, got all this data from the DMs and from the application to close. Dude, if we did what you were doing, that doesn't work. And I'm surprised that the ad agencies, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but like end of the day, they get their fee to run your ads. And so they're not spending time on this part, which is the hardest part.
Yeah, sure.
Because they don't get paid. And they're like, yeah, if he does it, he does it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And so what's happened is they're just like, yeah, we'll just run your ads. How much have you spent on ads in a month? Like, let me give you an example. Like, how much do you spend on ads?
Probably 4 or 5K.
Okay, so let's say you spend 5K. How much is the agency fee?
10K a month.
Okay, so that's your first mistake. Think of it this way. You spent 10K to spend 5K. You could be the worst fucking media buyer in the world and you could just spend 10K yourself and get better results. You get that, right? Like, let's say you spend him. Okay, so you're getting $6 leads, okay? Let's say you ran the ads and you're fucking trash and you got $12 leads. You realize you'd still save more money doing this than doing that with this. You understand that, right?
I'm lost right now.
You spent $5,000 on ads, right?
On ad spend, yeah.
And then you paid an agency 10K. So you spent 15K, but you only got 5K of ad spend out in the marketplace. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so follow me on this. You said your lead cost typically is $6. Okay,
yes.
Follow me?
Yep.
Okay, this doesn't work the way you think it does, but let's say you're horrible. I think you said his name's right? Bro, I'm way fucking better at you running ads. If you don't pay me, you're gonna, okay, whatever. Okay, so let's say you do suck. Let's say you get $12 leads. Okay, you realize that if you had just spent the money yourself.
I see what you're saying.
And you doubled.
On poor quality for me.
Bro, you still would have gotten more data and more leads than paying him. So first off, I don't want you to pay an agency because even if, I have an agency by the way, even if you paid me, you're not spent, this is not enough. You not spent, I don't ever want you to hire an agency again until you're spending 20K. Until then, you can be the worst media buyer and you will learn more from this and you'll get cheaper leads overall and more leads than paying this guy. And it's like, you're not gonna get that because I'll take you through an ad manager. Running ads is not hard, bro. The hard part is this. The ad is just bringing awareness. This is the qualification. This is why you're not winning. Okay, so we got to fix this. So moving forward, I want you to spend money yourself. It won't matter because you're going to get so many more leads, even if you're which you won't be, because we can see all the data in your ad account. So don't do that anymore. I'm gonna get on my computer in a second, but just so you understand, like in a month, like let's say my company spends $250K on ads, we get $20 leads. So we get 12,500 leads. Here's what I want you to understand. We message every single one of those leads with a real human being. Dude, if you do that, this will work. The problem is that's really hard to do. Here's what they did for you. Let's say you did the same thing. They're having you spend money, you get all these leads, and then they're just like, yeah, well, if they click through, they click through. If they don't click through, they don't click through, and we'll just see what happens. That's why it doesn't work. The reason it works for warm is they know you. Cold doesn't know you. So the only way to scale, in my opinion, go ahead if you have a question, go ahead.
So for you, you found the most success going through DM campaigns and not sending people to an opt-in VSL typical funnel. But with this setup you're creating, you're saying to optimize it the best is going through actual DMing and not opt-in VSL book a call.
Correct. So the funnel stays the same. Here's the part you're probably missing. So what most people do is they'll do an ad to a DM. Okay, so then you have the little link that fires, right? So we'll say here's the link. That link takes them to the VSL, and then you can book a call. Okay. So here's where you're missing. I'll put it in red so I can be more clear. Sorry, if stuff isn't clear, let me know, I apologize. So the part you're missing is an actual human being goes in here and DMs them. So look, they click the ad, first message fires. Hey, here's Tanner's training with the link. They can click the link or talk to the setter. Sometimes they will go through, but a lot of times they don't. You're competing against everyone else's ads. What does everyone else do? Ad, opt-in pay, it's the same bullshit. So when they get an actual message from a human, these guys, they're like, oh, so they can still click a link to go to the VSL, right? Or my setter can DM them. So what happens is either they will book a call from the setter or they will book a call from here. Either way, they're more qualified because there was a human interaction, right? Hey, so what's your goal? What are you struggling with? What do you track? Okay. Then once they book a call, this is the part you're missing too, is you're trying to push them to this $20, this 20-second call, 20-minute thing. I don't think you need to do that. All I think you need is from here, sorry, I ran out of space, is an application. I'm gonna show you how to do it. So look, what's the point of an application? Dude, hey, what's your goal? What are you struggling with? What you tried? Like, I'll show you our questions, but it's like, how much can you invest?
Yeah.
If they put below a number, cancel. Like, you don't need a setter to do that. And what happens is it will scale your company more because instead of you taking a stupid call, these setters can just do this. They can just message people and then they book sales calls. Like, my team can talk to people, but really, dude, like, we get way more success in DMs because it's way less invasive and it's less friction, right? It's less friction to have one sales call than two sales calls. Every time you add extra steps, it creates more friction, more people drop off. So based on what you've told me, that's why I asked you those specific questions. Like, well, when you run ads to DM, what do? You're like, oh, it's just an automated question. It's like, click this, click this, click this. There's no one talking to them. So what I would do first is like, you can start with engagement, but what I want you to look at is like, if you're running DM ads, you know by looking at the people coming in if they're good or bad. So if you, let's say you ran an engagement campaign, you spent like 1,000 and then you ran a lead campaign, but they're both coming to Messenger, see which is kind of bringing you better quality. My guess is based on what I'm seeing with Jen is that you were correct, excuse me, in running engagement, but that's just like as an extra tip, okay? So what I would do first, if I'm you need to set up retargeting minimum, because like the lowest hanging fruit is all the people who are already following you. That would be like the lowest hanging fruit, be super cheap, and those people would probably be very easy to get in your ecosystem, okay? So we come down here, so we'll do, messaging app, so get people to your brand, okay? So then we'll do here, we'll do like, we'll wait to label that until the end. You could also split test where you run them too. So like we've had times where we get worse quality on Facebook than we do Instagram, okay? I don't know why, but you could test it. So like, let's say for this one, we're gonna do Instagram. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do Instagram engagers, I'm sorry, okay? The budget doesn't matter, you can come up with that, but typically you don't need a crazy budget for retargeting. We'll come back to that. Location, United States, do you get mostly US?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what I would do here is, okay, obviously you don't want all languages, you're gonna just wanna make sure you do English. Okay. Okay, and then you're gonna create a custom audience. So like you see how they already have these?
I have created a lot of these. Yeah.
So you can go ahead. This is your engagement for Instagram. So this is saying anyone who's engaged in your page for the last 365 days. This one is website. So what I would do to begin with, at the very least, right? You can create a custom audience that you can just build that starts retargeting. So you already know how to do this part, right?
Yeah, I've been learning.
Okay, perfect. So like if I were you and we're doing Instagram engagers, what I typically would do is like, so you can do everyone who's engaged all the way down to like who saved a post or sent a message, which is more engaged. But typically what I would start with is like, you already have the audience, you do 365 days, and then you just start targeting anyone who's been on Instagram. And then typically, if you wanna make it better too, if you wanna raise, so what's the lowest, like what age is it like they're so broke they're not gonna pay you? Is it typically 30?
I mean, I probably wouldn't go lower than like 26, 27.
Okay, so let's do that. So do 26 and then 65 plus, or what's the age cap, if any?
That's probably close to our top range of age.
So then what I would do is like, you do 25, you do 26 to 65, and then I do anyone who's engaged at all, I would run ads to them because like one, it's gonna be super cheap, and then two, they're gonna be warm. There's a bunch of targeting you could do, but I'm just gonna take you through this super quickly. And then what you can also do is, obviously you could do manual placements. So you could have it tell Facebook where, or you could have Facebook like where it's gonna go. So sometimes like we'll only have it go to Instagram DMs or like whatever. And so like what I would probably do is like for your Instagram audience, it's probably better if they predominantly stay on there. So like I might come here and just do manual placement. Yeah, with manual placement. And I might just have, so you could do like messages. I'm just giving you some examples, but like you could do like Instagram feed, Instagram profile, just like anything on Instagram, maybe, right? Because this is your Instagram following. It doesn't matter if you wanted to do that. Like you could also just test like advantage placements and they just do it automatic. But what I'm trying to show you here is like the first thing I would do is like make an audience that is just for your Instagram audience, and then one that's just for your Facebook. And I would start retargeting those people like crazy, because your TikTok and stuff you can't quite do, but you can do Facebook and Instagram. So like this would be your Instagram audience. So then I'd come to the top, I'm just like Instagram engagers. I'd label it better, 365 days. All right, so then you'd add your media, you do your text, whatever, send an Instagram message, right? So they click it and that's gonna come through, which to me is a lot better than a keyword. And then this part is where you would put in your link to your VSL. So you'd be like, hey, you know, whatever, glad you're interested in removing your back pain. Click this button to learn how. This is not great marketing, but you get the point. So we do that. And then the automated response, I'm gonna have it go to the VSL. So it's like, you know, blah, 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 VSL link, okay? I'm gonna get rid of the rest of the stuff. Like I don't need anything else. This is how we do our stuff. So what happens is when they open that, they're gonna get the send message and it's gonna come right through, okay? So we'll just do, for this, we'll just do like Tanner example message, okay? So when they click on your ad, it'll say, hey, glad you're interested in removing. That's this part up here. And then this, you have to have a button. You just have to, it's stupid. You just have to. So that once they click that, then your ad's gonna activate. And then that's when your link, what we do here in the automated response is we have our VSL link. So campaign is obviously what is the goal. So this would be your retargeting ads. This is anyone who's following you, okay? This ad set is who you're targeting. This one is Instagram engagers. I would duplicate this after this is ready and you just do it to your Facebook engagers. And so you'd have ads running to everyone who's already following who knows you. That's the lowest hanging fruit. That's the cream of the crop, okay? Like let's look at who they were targeting here. So here they were doing.
It was totally cold. So if you click zero based. So this is what they set up originally. This was me trying to redo it to do a new creative. But this is what they had initially did. That gave us a 1 to 3 return and then just randomly stopped.
So this is, they're not targeting anything.
Yeah, it was, exactly right.
Okay, so
it was just completely open. But that's the best one that's worked for us so far.
Really?
Yes.
That's so interesting.
Yes, dude.
But look, like, hold on, but let me show you something. You haven't tried anything. Is this all the ads you've ran?
Yeah.
So dude, so the first thing we need to do is like, we need to actually target something. Let's say you got 20 darts, okay? And you're trying to hit a fucking bullseye, okay? Guy over here has 1 dart, this guy has 20. And you have to try to hit the bullseye. Who's got more opportunities?
Yeah,
Well,
obviously.
I mean, okay, so what they did is you're spending $300 a day on the same fucking thing. And you're like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. It's like, why didn't you do this? Right, so if you look at your budget, this is the stuff that pisses me off because it's like, you don't know, and it's not your fault, but it's like, it's their fault. So look, you're spending $300 a day. So yeah, 30 days times 300 is 9,000 a month. Well, guess what? If this isn't working, why are we spending it on the same audience every fucking day? Why don't we spend $30 or 10 or 20, and then we test 20 different audiences, and then we see which audience gives us the best results. Now, you're not necessarily gonna know 100%, but you could start off like just testing a couple audiences, and like they don't work, you turn those off, you test something else. That's how I started building a company. So I spent $100 a day at 10, I did 10 different audiences, about $10 a day. And then the ones that seemed like they worked, I would let those run. The ones that didn't, I'd turn them off. And it's a little harder when you do Messenger because you can't get as much data, because once they go into Messenger, it breaks it, right?
Yeah, well, you're not sure exactly how many converted, but you can look at the numbers at least, cost per message.
Right, but even that, but the only downside is like, yes, you can see cost per message, but you can't see who booked a call, and you can't see who closed technically unless you, so my team, just so you know, we manually attribute every sale. Like we're able to go and see, I'm gonna show you that too. So we're able to see where every single sale came from. We have to manually do it, but because we're able to manually do it, we can actually see which ad sets are working. So that's one of the issues with Facebook, is once it goes into DMs, you can't track it, because the only way to track it properly automatically is it has to go page to page to page to page, but that doesn't work as well. It usually goes to DMs. Okay, so now that we're here, like what I would do is do multiple ad sets, maybe 10 or 20 bucks a day, and see what works. All they did is like, hey, we're gonna try one audience, it didn't work, and then they give up. Well, and do you have an email list and stuff like that?
Yeah, like we have a campaign.
So what I'd start off with is like, one of your ad sets should be all your IG engagers. Okay, so what that means is like, you get that, like anyone who's ever engaged in your IG.
Yeah.
Then you should have one for Facebook. Okay, so that's 1 and 2. Then you should have an email lookalike list. Lookalikes is just, again, it's like similar to those types of people. Do you have a customer list? Do you have a list of, dude, if you had a list of all your customers, you can upload that here and then say, find people like my customers, right? You want a customer list. I'd have an application lookalike list. So anyone who's ever booked, anyone who's ever done the $97 call, if you have a list of that, you can upload that here as well. So where you're gonna wanna-
I could do that, I use Wave. Can I just go to Wave, see everyone who's purchased this?
So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna live here where you go create, and you're gonna do custom audiences. You're gonna upload your email list, your customer list, your call list, all the lists you have. You're gonna do lookalikes of your Instagram account and your Facebook page, okay? And then you're also gonna do, or those are custom audiences, excuse me. And then lookalikes are just gonna be, they're gonna usually be of your custom audience. So you can do a lookalike of your emails. The best one is what? Your clients. So if you get, like, how many customers have you had?
Over 1,000.
Dude, if you put 1,000 customers in here and you tell Facebook, find me similar, dude, I'm telling you, that would be the best. And I would do 1, 3, I would do 1, 3, and 5% lookalike. So what I usually do is I'll do something like this. I'll do 3, and then I just go like this, and I go like that. And so it makes you a 1, 3, and 5% lookalike audience. And I can help you with more of this stuff. I'd be happy to get on like an hour call with you when you get back if you want to go through more. But like that's where I would start. And then keep in mind, like the darts, like I'm just shocked that like that's all they've done, because to me it's like that to me is not like a great effort. It's like I would do more. The next thing I want to do is like, this was the one you showed me, right? So zero pace targeting. So let's go to the actual ads, and let's go here, Dr. Lift. Okay, because these are the ones you ran.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I want you to look at this ad. Like you realize there's no text on the ad, right? There's nothing. Like they have no text here. Look.
There's no copy or anything.
There's no copy. There's no copy. First, I'd have text. So look, it's like da 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 da. That's gonna pop on the top. Watch the ad. You can always see how the ad changes. So now we have it's gonna be on the bottom.
Yeah.
So now we have actual text. Yeah. So now we have actual text, and then the headline: fix back pain forever. I don't know, whatever. Just want you to kind of see it. I mean, look, we spend, $250 a month, and we're doing $100 ad sets. You're doing 300. Makes literally 0 sense. You're spending a sliver.
Yeah.
Okay, then you come here, and then what I want you to see at the bottom. Okay, so look, you see this link?
Yep.
So this is the UTM. You see this? That allows us, after they click, we can see and go high level that they click that so we can take it all the way back to the actual ad. What's the pain in the ass though is you have to create this UTM. So the way you do it, you do the question mark, it's like elitecos.com, question mark, UTM, and then all this is how you can tell where it came from.
Yeah.
So that's on you to figure out. You have to do that, okay?
Sure. I mean, you could also, I don't know how UTM is different, but of course you can just have, question mark source equals, and then that puts the source in the actual client profile and go
but like,
so you can see what that source is.
The reason she's doing this is we're running the same ad to so many different audiences. So she's like saying, hey, it's Instagram, and then it's the fit
I understand.
group. Yeah,
so it's
get
more
it.
Okay.
So that you really know. But the problem is it's a pain in the but I'm telling you, it will make all the difference in the world, because when you make a sale, you can go back and see, hey, they came from this ad set, so you know which ad sets to scale and which ones to turn off, because all that matters is you make sales.
Yeah.
But we have a full-time media buyer for this, which makes sense because it's a pain in the ass, right? That's the only way to do it super accurate. You don't have to, but it's not as good. Now also notice, they get the text, and then here, they get the link to the VSL, and then our team will start to go in and engage. So this guy came in and paid $bucks up front, okay? And his name. So this is the application part, but I want you to see the convo first. So what I'm gonna do, sit right there. Watch this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you like on Instagram, the conversation with this guy so you can see how it happened. Okay, because this is like what I think you're missing with your team. So this is what I mean. So look, he clicks on the button, send me the training. There's the link. Team is in there. Planning on using the training for landscaping biz? Yes, does your program. So look, they're qualifying them, okay? They're qualifying them. Okay, they get all the way down here. And so as they're doing this, keep in mind, this guy like might have clicked on it. He's like, he has no idea who I am, or he's like not that interested, whatever. And then they start, look, I want to be like Alex Ramosi and Gym Lunch, Okay, start going here, start going here.
Yeah,
okay,
big conversation.
And then here he booked a call, right? So he said he booked a call. How did he book a call? Well, he can book with the VSL, but he's also getting set right now. For this guy, he actually booked a call before my team set him. I want to show you one that actually set though. But either way, this helps the call.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Huge.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so check this girl out. So she clicked back on September 18th, got the link. Team goes in, that's them. Sales psychology, juicy stuff, that's the team, right? Okay, so hey Tanner, thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, here's what I'm doing. And like, we'll send you the recording so you can read these later, but what I just wanna show you is when they're going down, they're qualifying her. Okay, so they're qualifying, and then finally, they go, look, can you book a call? So now they book a call, so check this out. Okay, she books a call, and then on the call, she didn't answer as well as we'd like, so check out her application, okay? She says she's a sales coach, so look, she doesn't have a lot of money, and then it's like, would you be willing to, if we could find a way to create at least this much, are you willing to be resourceful? Yes. At the time of the call, are you willing to move forward? Yes. And then the team is going back in to qualify because they're like, okay, well, that's kind of low for us. So they're like, hey, well, what's the maximum you can invest?
So they got this after she booked a call. So she booked because this is an application that's tied to it.
They have to fill it out. Yeah.
And then let them click.
I'll send this to you.
So then they look at it and then they're going back in.
Exactly. And look, and then we can see where she came from. So look, you see how they have the UTM on it too?
Yep.
So we can see that because again, it will break. So they send her a type form and then she's like, I don't really know. And they're like, yes, there's an option, So we have like this Google Drive file that like shows them like, how stuff works. We have, this that shows them like clients that have like done well. It's like a client success thing. That's kind of like what I'd suggest is like you run the ad, you go to Messenger, they have the link in the way I described. You have a UTM so you know which ad sets work, right? You label it accordingly. You have an application for them, okay? And then what happens is by the time they get to the call, you're good to go. That's like what I would do to try to scale. And then the only thing you're gonna have to figure out is like obviously how to scale your sales team or like make sure you have KPIs. So like let me show you a couple things. Like this is our leaderboard for the sales guys. And we're able to see like in a month, we can see like close rates, we can see total calls booked, we can see no-show rates, we can see offers made, price drops, paid in fulls, because all that stuff matters. Because like if someone has a really high close rate, but they're price dropping hardly ever, or they have really low paid in full or whatever it is, right? It's just a lot easier for us to be able to see those numbers. Most agencies, you're not canceling anything, and so you get a lot of numbers. What we're doing is like I don't know what our actual number is right now, but if we do this to the DM, and then it's the VSL and the call. Remember, if they don't qualify here, we'll cancel the call. And so you saw how we do it. I mean, if they're not a fit to buy, we don't push them through. And so we do all the qualification before. So like what I do when we start the meeting, okay, is the first thing we do is we do payments, right? So we make sure, okay, who did you close? We do payments and sheets. So like, are your sheets up to date?
Yep.
Are the payments in? Did you set up recurring? Contracts are signed? Okay, so contracts, okay? Then I'll do questions. And then we'll either do role play objections, okay? And I can send you a sheet on that, by the way. I don't know how much like sales training you, I mean, you obviously have done well, but like for me, there's really only price, spouse, right? There's time, and then there's basically belief. I can send you a sheet on that if you'd like. We could cover that here if we have time and you want to, but if you're like, hey, I'm good, that's fine. We'll go that, or we'll do live call breakdowns and we'll just train. And then basically what happens is they either get better and stay or they don't, you fire them. Like, I don't really see guys over time. Like typically it's kind of like, I don't know what it is, but they kind of just hit like, this is how good they are. And I don't see more time really make people much better. Typically what the biggest difference is the best people I hire, they just have the most experience. They just got a lot of experience. If they need more, I'll do one-to-ones. Another trick, by the way, is if you ever hire a new sales rep, is the way I do it. So let's say I hired you today. You're gonna follow me around until you say you're ready. Then I switch and I follow you around until I know you're ready. Like, so what a lot of guys do is you'll hire a sales rep and you're like, all right, here's your calls. They f up all these calls, they suck, you're losing all this money. So what I do is I let them lead the call, but I'll interject whenever I need to, or like they'll get to the end of the call and then I'll step in and save it so that instead of them not closing, they do close. And that's made a massive difference in my company.
You're doing a three-way call. Like you're on it with them.
At the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning.
And then eventually, because eventually you got to get off. But the reason you do that is they learn a lot faster that way versus call reviews.
Versus just watching 20 of my calls.
Right, and it helps, but it's like they learn a lot faster than call reviews. And then two, what's the biggest thing? You're not losing all the money. You know why you went from 250 to 150? Because they're new. And so the way you can kind of mitigate that is you're on them for the first, however much time you think you're willing to do it. It sucks because you're still paying them basically and you're doing their job a little bit. But I've seen that that's the easiest way to transition people in. It's either that or you just got to find a more experienced person who can come in and they're a killer. But those people are more rare because they're so good, right? And it's like they can get kind of whatever job they want. Do that. If that still doesn't work, then I would go the DM to the app, right? So you're pushing them to fill out this application. And then from here, if it's good, you keep the sales call. If it's bad, you go and you're like, hey, I saw in your application, you said, you only have $3. What's your fine? And then when they get on the call with the sales rep isn't fighting an uphill battle. That's what I would do. You could also, have you ever tried IG shoutouts though?
No.
So all shoutouts are basically though, is like, here's an IG page, you pay them money and then they shout.
I watched your video on it. Yeah.
So the only downside to what you said earlier is it can give you a lot of but you also can make a lot. So like if you get, let's say in a month, you get an extra 40,000 subs or followers and let's say 36,000 or sometimes I feel like it is, and then you get 4,000 that are good, and then you close 3% of them through DMs. Like what my team will do is we'll get all these followers and they'll message all the good looks of that, and then we'll close a percentage. And usually shout outs are a lot cheaper. The best way for where you're at is to pay an agency. So an agency is like a middleman, because like there's only two ways to do it. You either go out to every page individually and you like create a relationship, which will literally take you like a year because it just takes forever. Yeah. Or you just go to an agency as the middleman and then they know all the pages. The only issue with agencies, it's kind of what you experienced, is they'll tell you something, but you don't know if that's what you're gonna get. It doesn't even matter if they have good intentions. It's like, they can promise whatever they want. You just don't know, right? And so what will happen is like, what could happen is you could get a page that f***s up your algorithm. So what I would do if you were gonna do that is start a brand new IG. You start from zero, because if you find an agency that does this, you'll gain like 20, 30,000 followers a month. And then the cool thing is it won't f*** up this. That would be my only concern with shout outs. But shout outs is also super cheap, especially in the fitness industry. Like you can get like a follower for like 50 cents. So that's $6. Imagine if you got for 50 cents, that's 10 times cheaper. So like we've had months, dude, I had months where like we would spend like 10K on shouts and we do like 270K. But the issue is as you spend more, and it's hard to keep up with volume with my team, because my team's like, bro, we're getting so many followers. So That's the other downside.
Are you messaging every new follower you get?
Good looks, not everyone, the good looks. Your team has to be good.
Sure.
And you're like, hey, good looks look like this, bad looks look like that, right? Yeah. The good news, dude, with where you're at is you're not in a bad spot. You have a ton of potential. That would be my advice is like, if you can keep pushing on this, because dude, this is actually out of all your socials, that's the most intriguing to me. Because YouTube is like the most loyal. Like they're just so loyal.
I agree that I need to be above 20% with my closers, for sure. There's one closer who's been with me for almost a year now. Here's where my disconnect is, and this could be 100% me, is I review his calls all the time, and in my opinion, and I try to be as objective as possible,
sure,
I think he's awesome. I really do. Like everything, like I watch these calls, and I can see where the person's going, and I go, oh, here's what I would say, and then he says it. Like I feel like he's on it, and I always close around 55%.
Yeah.
I really feel like he's so good emotionally, which my audience needs. He's so good at being each individual's like Tony Robbins and motivating them.
Yeah.
Like I think he's awesome, but it's still just like 20%.
It's because so I'll tell you a little secret. The 80% of sales reps can sound good typically between the questions and the close. You're paying them for the last 10 minutes, man. Because when they, like the difference between a good closer and a bad closer is really just the end. Because I have a lot of guys who like, I listen to them like, yeah, he sounds good. But then what happens is when they drop the price, they can't close it. So I understand what you're saying, but you need to listen to the end of the calls. I mean, for you to scale, if you're not closing 30%, what will happen is like right now you don't feel it because it's organic. So what happens is then your revenue will stall and you're gonna make more revenue, but you're gonna have less profit. And then you're like, well, this is stupid. And it is stupid, because I want you to make sure before you scale that you are better off doing 2 million a year, taking home 75%, than you are doing 4 million and taking home, I don't know, let's just 30% or whatever, because like you're gonna do so much more work and you're gonna make no more profit, and you're gonna be more stressed out. Because remember, like ads creates complexity in the business. It's not that we want it, you just have it, but it creates complexity because now you have more leads and you got to make sure the setters are doing this and that. So the one benefit you have with organic is like you have so much room to fuck up because it's free.
Okay. Yeah, I know my time's up. I've already taken too much.
Bro, you're good. I hope you crush it. I love your business, and like, I mean, that's amazing. Like, keep it up.
I'm feeling elated. I have a lot to take back and obviously digest and break it down a little bit more. Exactly what I was hoping to happen did in regards to just learning new systems, kind of having some new doors opened and realizing, oh yeah, there's different ways to do things, different things to test, and just helping me learn what I need to focus on. When trying to move into cold traffic, something that is essential to scale, our approach in doing so has been completely off, at least to Tanner's opinion, or at least for our audience. So by reconfiguring the strategy and where we're investing the time for a cold audience, by changing that to the methods that were discussed with me today, that should be a much more reliable and effective approach for then scaling and getting a cold audience to actually work for us. I did have a period of back pain myself when I was 16, 17 years old when I was racing bikes. And during that time, I went to see a traditional chiropractor, we'll call it, oh, your spine's crooked, we need to see you 3 times a week, every week, forever, right? And I was like, well, this isn't helping. I did that multiple months, got no better. Big surprise. Went away because I just basically stopped riding and got into fitness, right? So that became my outlet. A couple years later, met a chiropractor at the gym, and he talked about how he did a lot more like rehab and movement with people. And I was like, oh, chiropractors do more than just adjust people. So I went and shadowed him. He really didn't even adjust anybody. It was all just rehab. And I was like, this is great. If I'd got this, I probably wouldn't have had back pain. So I want to do that and help people have the opposite of the experience that I had. So went to school to become a chiropractor. Halfway through my schooling, I created the brand that is now Rehab Fix, my business. I just created the Instagram account. Wanted to come up with a name that I thought would be very clickable. And I built the social media profile for the sake of a future portfolio to build authority. And then before I even graduated, people started messaging me, hey, I'm in this state. Are you there? Can you help me? Can you help me? And I was looking up local offices that were trustworthy for all these people. And I started going, I should just try to help you. So at first I just started booking like free 30-minute Zoom calls. This is in 2019. And then I started charging, $50 for a PDF, and then just slowly turned into what it is now.